Bonjour à tous. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today we are going to talk about indefinite articles in French. And so, with that being said, let's just go ahead and jump right in. So, the first thing that I want to do is define what it means by indefinite. So, indefinite just means that it's not specific, meaning I'm talking about one of many rather than the. So, we're going to say one of many. And so in English, indefinite articles are a, an, or some. And so we have pretty much the same in French. So I'm going to write off to the side over here on this right-hand side. And let's use the color yellow. So we're going to say the indefinite articles in French are un, une, and des. So un, une, and des. Now let's talk a little bit about these specifically. So the first one that we have up there is un, and so this is used with things that are masculine and singular, meaning there's just one of them. The next one is une, and une is used with things that are feminine and singular. And then the last one is des, and so this is used with things that are plural and both genders. So we're going to write both and then masculine dash feminine. So now that we know what the indefinite articles are in French, we can kind of apply a little bit of a rule. And so I'm going to tell you is that in French, most of the time, plural things, so something that's more than one, so you have to have at least two. So things that are plural will end in either S or X. So they end in S or X. So they'll end in one of those two letters. Now, if things are feminine, we can apply a rule and say that 80% of the time, so 80% of the time, things that end in an E are going to be feminine. Most of the time. It doesn't always work, but most of the time we can do that. So I'm going to start a new slide over here, and then I'm going to write out my articles. We have un, we have une, and we have des. So I'm going to just leave my little sticky note up here for us, just so that we can see what those articles are. Now let's do an example together. So if I have the word porte, which in English means door, I can apply a rule and say, okay, well, it does have an E on the end, so I can kind of guess that it's going to be feminine just because of that E. So now, looking at this word, I need the feminine one, so I need to choose from one of the ones up here and decide what article I'm going to use. I'm going to end up using une. So une porte just means a door. Then let's do another example. If I say this word, so chien, which means dog, if I look at the end of this word, it doesn't end in an E, and there's no S or X, so I have to look up here again and decide which one is the masculine, and I'm going to come back and write un. And let's do a couple more. If I write out this word, bureau, I need to apply the rule. Does it end in an E? Well, no. Does it end in an S or an X? Yes. So it does end in S or X. So based off that, I need to pick the one in my sticky note up here that is plural. And the one that's plural is des. So it's really helpful to apply the rule of if it ends in an E, 80% of the time it's going to be feminine. And if it ends in an S or an X, it's probably plural. So that helps figure out which article you need to use. Now, the only main thing is that all of those articles, when you see ne and then pas, so it's ne and then pas, whenever you see this, that means it's negative, meaning your sentence is negative. And so in the negative, all three of these articles right here, they change to de. So in the negative, un, une, and des change to de, de in the negative. Also, sometimes in the negative, you might see this one. So D apostrophe, that is just used if there's a vowel. So if our next word that we're talking about starts with a vowel. Let's do an example of that. So let's say I don't have, so je n'ai pas, I don't have, and then we need our article, and let's say élève. So let's say I don't have any students. So je n'ai pas, and then élève. So we know that it's going to be negative just looking at this here. And so because I know that it's negative, everything in the negative, so that un, une, and des, all changes to one of these in the negative. And because élève starts with a vowel, I need to use the D apostrophe. Let's do another example like that. We could say il, so n'y a, there is not, il n'y a pas, blank, and then let's say éléphant. So éléphant. Let's say that there is not any elephants. So il n'y a pas éléphant. We know that it's going to be negative just based off of seeing this ne and this pas. And so because we know that it's negative, we need to remember that un, une, and des are all going to change to this D apostrophe or this DE right here in the negative. Now, looking at this word right here, because that's the only word that I'm going to care about, in this word right here, we are going to start our word with a vowel with that E. So because it starts with a vowel, we need to switch it and put des apostrophe. Let's do another negative example. So let's say tu n'as, you don't have, tu n'as pas, and then we're going to say chat, cat. Tu n'as pas, blank, chat. So let's look at this word right here. Remember, we're always going to look at the word that comes after our article. That's the only word that we really need to pay attention to. Now, because I know that it's negative, because this ne and this pas, because I know it's negative, I know I'm automatically going to use either de or D apostrophe. The only thing I have to figure out now is which one specifically. So look at this word in this red box, and does sha start with a vowel? Is C a vowel? If it's not a vowel, we're going to use de. So C is not a vowel, so we're going to use de. All right, real quick review before we're done here today. Couple reminders, indefinite. So indefinite just means a, an, or some. And the indefinite articles in French are un, une, and des. And so un is masculine and singular. Une is feminine and singular. And des is plural for both masculine and feminine. All right. Now, in the negative, all three of these are going to change to either de, so de, or D apostrophe. Whenever you see ne and pas. So whenever you see ne and pas in the negative. All right. The only reason why we would use D apostrophe is if it starts with a vowel. And we can always apply the rule if it ends in an E. So if something ends in an E, it's probably feminine. And if something ends in an S or X, it's probably plural. All right, so that's it for indefinite articles. They're quite simple once you get a good grasp on them. All you have to remember is that un is the masculine, une is the feminine, and de is used for the plural. So if you can just remember those, then you'll be 8 out of 10 times pretty good and pretty well off. And then just remember that those three change to de or d apostrophe in the negative whenever you see ne and pas. C'est tout et à plus!